How's it going out there, YouTubers? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this review and see what I saw. So yesterday I had the pleasure of finally getting to check out an awesome new film that has had a huge following, that has been, many years in the works, and just a movie that I was really looking forward to seeing this year that came out on Friday, May 25th. And of course, that is the awesome film Solo, A Star Wars Story. Now, this movie is actually getting panned by the critics and so forth, and I was really shocked because after seeing it, I wasn't too sure what to expect, but at the same time, after seeing it, I actually thought it was a really decent film. I was actually really shocked at how good it was, and I thought that the reshoots definitely made it a lot better. Now, this awesome film is none other than directed by an awesome director who has directed a slew of great films. He was on Happy Days as Richie Cunningham. He was on Andy Griffith's show. He's a huge actor and director as well. And that is, of course, Mr. Ron Howard. Now, Ron Howard, like I said, you might recognize from Happy Days and the Andy Griffith Show and stuff like that. He even does the voiceover work for the Arrested Development series. But a couple films I really enjoyed that he directed and I thought were fantastic films were none other than an awesome film from 1988 starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer. And that, of course, is the awesome fantasy film Willow. Now, Willow is just a really awesome and amazing fantasy film. It's got, magic and witches and, spells and, all kinds of cool creatures and stuff like that. And it's just really an awesome fantasy film. And it just had a really great storyline. Val Kilmer was really awesome in it, so was Warwick Davis. And everyone involved was just really awesome in the film and did a good job. Another awesome film that he directed was none other than an awesome third film and an awesome trilogy that he has directed that are based on books written by Mr. Dan Brown. And of course, that is the awesome film that came out in 2015 or 2016. I can't remember exactly. I believe it's 2016 or 15. That stars the awesome, great Tom Hanks. And that, of course, is the film Inferno. Now, Inferno, like I said, is the third film in the trilogy, along with Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code, and based off of Dan Brown's books. And this movie was just, I thought, really well done. I really thought it was a great adaptation of the book series. Even though it didn't do too well in theaters, I still think it was a very fantastic film. I thought it was very well done, just like the other two previous films. I think this actually was my favorite of the series. I just liked the whole chemistry of the film. I loved the idea behind it. And it just was a really well done film and directed by Ron Howard. He just did a really amazing job bringing these books to life, even though, a lot of people... I don't think a lot of directors would take on this project, that they didn't see a lot of potential in this. But Ron did, and I thought he did a really fantastic job. And really brought together a great trilogy, and really brought Dan Brown's books to life. It just was a really well done film, and I loved everyone involved with it. I thought Ewan McGregor was awesome in Angels and Demons. It was a really fantastic film. Inferno really brought together the whole series, and the whole idea behind Inferno was really awesome, where, the main character, Tom Hanks, really has to try to piece back his life a little bit, because he's, all of a sudden has got kind of amnesia and can't remember what happened to him, and, why he's in the area he is and so forth, which I think is a really cool concept. Really well done and really well directed by Ron Howard. But when it comes to Solo, I thought he, stepped in and did a great job with the film series. I think he gave it a lot of great life. I think he made it a decent Star Wars type of film. And I thought that his attention to detail and even his comedy skills, I thought really brought through for the film. And I thought he made a very decent film. What he had to work with and what he had to reshoot, which they said was pretty much 70% of the film, I thought he did a really fantastic job and really brought, what kind of wasn't being envisioned for Disney when they decided to make the film. And I thought they did a really good job. Really, really well done by Ron, and I thought he directed it very beautifully. Now, this film has a really decent cast. Some great actors and actresses that were involved. You just had a great ensemble cast that I thought brought together the film very well as well. This movie actually has, an interesting character actor in the lead role at playing Mr. Han Solo himself. And, of course, that is the actor known as Alden Ehrenreich. Now, Alden, might recognize from a few films of the last, I would say, 10 years or so. He's really, kind of busted into the scene since 2008, I feel, and, has made a name for himself. Now, with his characterization of Han, I thought he did a really good job. Like, he had a lot of the mannerisms down and a lot of the good sayings that Harrison Ford said in the previous films, and I thought he did a good job with that. Now, a couple films I have seen and thought he was fantastic in, and was a great supporting kind of like leading role actor in, were none other than an awesome film starring Mia Wasikowska that was in the two Alice in Wonderland live action films, and that is the film Stoker. Now, Stoker was just a really awesome kind of like drama, horror, supernatural type of thriller type of film, and it's Alden plays one of the main characters in it that's kind of like the love interest of Mia Wasikowska, and I thought he was really awesome in it. I thought he was a great addition to that film, and that he really brought interesting characterization of his character that he's portraying. And I thought he was just really good at interacting with Mia, and I thought he interacted well with everyone involved in the film, and just made a really interesting and cool kind of film. Now, another film that he was in that I thought was a really fantastic film, and that I was really surprised at just how well, and I felt this was, so different for these two brothers who have directed so many different films. And that, of course, is the Coen brothers film, Hail Caesar. Now, Hail Caesar, like I said, I felt was a very different than some previous of the Coen brother films that they've done. I felt you can feel the Coen brothers, kind of, presence, but I definitely felt it was a little different than majority of their films they've done. And I thought Alden was really awesome in the film, and that he was a great kind of like lead character in the film, and that he really worked well with Josh Brolin and George Clooney and everyone that was involved with the film. I thought they just all was really awesome together, and he really looked good during that time frame that it's supposed to be in. I mean, he really looks like he could have been from the 50s. And, Alden just, brought kind of a great characterization again to this character, and gave us kind of a cool kind of character actor type of role. Really kind of showing that he does have lead actor abilities, and which probably is what landed him the lead role in the Solo film. Now, like I said, when it comes to Solo, I thought he did a really good job with the mannerisms, the sayings, the one-liners and stuff like that. He definitely had Harrison Ford's, timing and acting down. Even though he doesn't really look like Harrison, I still thought he did a pretty decent job, and I think that he really brought justice to Han Solo, and that he, gave, credit to Harrison Ford for how good he was as Han Solo. And even though, he's so much older now, still at the same time, it's like, oh, this, Alden guy can really play it very well and gives me respect. And I thought that Alden did that with this role. And I thought he was really decent. I was really surprised. I wasn't too sure how he was going to do, because I really didn't know him for much. And I thought he did justice, in that he did a decent job and made a great film. Another great comedy and character actor that is actually a part of this awesome ensemble cast is none other than Mr. Cheers himself, and that, of course, is Mr. Woody Harrelson. Now, Woody Harrelson you might recognize, like I said, from Cheers. You might recognize him from films like Defendor. You might recognize him from films like Natural Born Killers and so forth. But a couple films I really enjoyed him in and thought he was fantastic in were none other than the awesome 2017 Oscar-nominated film. And that, of course, is the film Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, where he plays the sheriff of the town. And I think he was so amazing in that role. He just was so awesome. He was so amazing. He just did such a great performance, and you could really feel his energy in the film, and you can really feel like he was really that character and dealing with what he had to deal with. And I thought he really brought a lot of great, love and a lot of convincing and conviction to that character. And he just was really awesome in it. And once again, just really brought in his great acting abilities and, made a great character. Now, another great film that he was in that I thought he was fantastic in, and another one that was like a dramedy type of role. This one had a little bit of comedy element too in the film as well. And that, of course, is the awesome film from 2017 as well. And that is the film The Edge of 17. Now, this awesome film, he plays kind of like a counselor role, teacher type of role. and in the film, and I think he's absolutely hilarious in the film, and I love his interaction with the main character and just everyone that's involved in the film, and he just really brought a great like sense to that character and really brought to life that character, and he seemed so realistic, like one of those types of teachers that's in the real world. He really brought that realness to the film, and I thought he did a really good job. And I thought he just really interacted well in the movie and gave it a great comedy and great dramatic element, and just made a really fun film. That was a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Edge of 17. Really funny film and really good film. Just really interesting as well. But when it comes to playing the character Beckett in the Han Solo film, he was really awesome. He did a really good job. He was a great kind of like hero slash kind of bad guy character. He just really brought a lot of great interesting aspects to this character that's kind of like a mentor for Han, and how he just really brought like kind of like that fatherly advice and fatherly role to that character, and he just was really good at the role. I really enjoyed his character, and it was really enjoyable to see him kind of like how he progressed through the film and how he reached kind of the end, and how his character, what direction his character went in. And I thought that Woody did a great job, made a really awesome character and a great film. Another great actress that we have in this film that plays a lead role in the film, and that it was just a great pleasure kind of being Han Solo's love interest in the film, is none other than the Queen of Dragons herself, Miss Emilia Clarke. Now, Millie Clarke, you recognize from, of course, Game of Thrones, because she's been in it, for all 7 seasons. And you might recognize her from a couple other films and different sort of, like, TV shows and stuff over the years. But a couple films I really enjoyed in her and thought she was really fantastic in were none other than the awesome and amazing sequel that I think didn't get enough credit for how good of a sequel it was to this awesome franchise. And that, of course, is the awesome Terminator film, Terminator Genisys, which, took a whole new turn and changed it and gave us a whole new light on the Terminator franchise. And I thought they did a good job. But I felt Emilia Clarke as the Sarah Connor character was really awesome. I thought she did a good job. I thought she was really amazing and fun, and just made a really awesome, Sarah Connor impersonation. I mean, she'll never top Linda Hamilton's, but at the same time, I still think that she did a really fantastic job and gave justice to that character. And even I think Linda Hamilton would have been, proud of her characterization of her character and given the respect that she did. Another great movie that she was in, and that I think that this film is a very underrated film. I think it's just an interesting and definitely a very different type of Jude Law film. And I thought that the character of in this film that Jude Law played was just a really interesting character to watch and see kind of materialize into a film. And that, of course, is the film called Dom Hemingway. Now, not to be related or confused with Hemingway the writer, but anyways, this film was just a very different film, and Emilia Clarke's character in the film was very interesting. She was a great love interest type of character. She played a very interesting character as well. I really liked how she was kind of like a street smart character, but at the same time she had this very vulnerable side to her, and you could see Jude Law's character Dom kind of like playing in on her sweetness, but at the same time trying to use her street smarts for his own advantage. And I thought they did a really good job with that film, and I think she worked really well with Jude. And I thought she just was a really fun asset and really great part of that film, and she made that film enjoyable to watch. Even though that this film wasn't like super great, it still at the same time was enjoyable enough and entertaining enough with her, involved in the film along with Jude Law as well. And they just worked well enough to really make a interesting, cohesive film that was, like I said, very entertaining. But Emilia, I just thought was really fantastic in it. And I thought that she did a really good job and really, bring, another kind of side to her acting ability, besides being on Game of Thrones and what she's done before and, what she did in Terminator Genisys. She just was really interesting in that film and just was a really great pleasure to see her in a kind of a different type of role. But when it comes to playing, the character in Han Solo film, I thought she was really interesting. I thought she did a good job of playing kind of like this. I really don't know what to do, but at the same time, she's really smart and can, think of things to do. And, she really has an agenda of her own, just to survive and her survival instincts. And I thought that that character was kind of interesting. It was kind of similar to, Solo himself. And, kind of, was a good counteraction to his character. And they kind of, woven together very well and were two very cohesive characters that just really worked well together. It was interesting seeing, another love interest of, Han in this film, because we really didn't know much about his other things except that he had a lot of flings and that, he was, the character he was. And I thought that Emilia Clarke really gave us, an interesting, idea behind Kira and, like what his first love interest was and what kind of like pushed him to be the way he was with women and so forth. And I thought she did a good job of portraying that and giving us that whole backstory. She did a really fantastic job. I was really impressed and I really enjoyed her and I thought she was fantastic and fun. So to round off this awesome cast, we have none other than a gentleman that is taking over the role, or the younger version of this character from the Star Wars series. And of course, that is Mr. Billy D. Williams' character, Lando Calrissian. And that is being played this time around by the awesome and comedian guy, and just a really fun, interesting, and definitely a very different type of actor, Mr. Donald Glover. Now, Donald Glover, you might recognize from the TV show Atlanta. You might recognize him from Spider-Man Homecoming. You might recognize him from Community. He's been in a slew of things over the last decade or so. But a couple films I really enjoyed him in and thought he was fantastic in were none other than the awesome 2015 film with Matt Damon called The Martian. Now, The Martian was just a really fantastic film to begin with, but I love Donald Glover's character as kind of like this nerdy scientist guy that's really helping to try to get, Matt Damon back to Earth. And I thought that his characterization, that it was just like super funny and hilarious, but at the same time super intelligent, and I really liked that character. I thought he was just a really unique person and just brought together a really fun and interesting character. And I thought he really was a great, casting call for this film and really gave us a whole new interesting character in this film. And he just really brought kind of his comedy element to the character too, but at the same time gave us kind of a vulnerability and just, kind of a, a little bit of a dramatic element too as well. And I thought he did a good job. I really enjoyed him in it, and I thought he was a fantastic casting choice for the film. Now, another film that he was in that I was really surprised and forgot that he was in the film, but I really enjoyed his character in this film. Now, this film is a Disney film that came out in 2015 as well, I believe. And that, of course, is the film Alexander the Terrible, Horrible, Good, Bad, No Day. Now, this awesome movie is based off of a book, a children's book that came out, I think, in the 70s or 60s. And it's just a really fun and awesome book. And when they decided that they were going to make it into a movie, I couldn't believe it. I was, like, so ecstatic. And when Donald Glover was a part of it, I was just like, this is really awesome, because I really enjoyed him from Community. And so his character in the film I thought was just really fun and entertaining. I thought he was a really good addition to the film, along with, Steve Carell, Jennifer Gardner, everyone that was involved in the film. And I think he was just really fantastic as the character he played. And he just had some really fun one-liners in the film, but at the same time, he just was like, so kind of just like hilarious, because this character he's kind of playing is very similar to, majority of his characters he's played, but at the same time you get a whole new kind of different look at the character from a whole new angle. And I thought he did a really fantastic job with that. I thought he was really fun and a really good addition to that film, along with everyone else that was involved. And he just made a really fun and entertaining, definitely character and film as well. But when it comes to playing Lando Calrissian, I thought he did a fantastic job of all the mannerisms and even the voice, his sounding of his voice as Lando, I thought was, pretty much to the T of Billy D. Williams. I thought he did a really great justice and great job at playing Lando, and he was really fantastic in the film. Even though his look wasn't 100% like Billy D. Williams' look, he still did a fantastic job of playing Lando, like I said, along with the mannerisms and the voice. And he just was really awesome. He had some great one-liners in the film. He had a lot of great chemistry with Alden, and they just really worked well together in bringing us the whole story behind Lando and Han's relationship, and now we know what happened and why they are like when they are in Empire Strikes Back. I just think they did a really good job of finally bringing that to light and us finally seeing what their backstory was. And I thought that Donald did a really good job of bringing Lando to life for a newer generation and for, the younger version of Lando. Just thought it was a really well done job, and I thought Donald was really good in it. So if you're not familiar with what Solo is about, basically we're given kind of like an origin story of what creates Han Solo. What his past was, what it was leading up to from, the get-go when he was younger up to being into A New Hope, the very first Star Wars film. And you basically find out what he went through to become kind of who he is and the smuggler he is, and, what happened that, was the Kessler run and all that good stuff. Basically, that's what the whole premise of the movie is, giving you kind of a backstory of who Han Solo is, where he came from, and how it got him to where he was in, A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So I thought it was a really well done film. I think that the critics were being way too harsh on it. I think it's a fantastic film. Very entertaining. CGI work was really fantastic in it. All the alien creatures were really awesome, and I thought that the story did a really good job and justice of giving us more behind the scenes of who Han Solo is. And I thought Ron Howard did a great job with the film. Just a really well done, awesome, new addition to the Star Wars universe, and definitely looking forward to more of these and more of Alden as Han Solo. It's going to be awesome, and definitely if you haven't seen it, go check it out, people. It's in theaters now. Really worth a watch. Really fun. Giant 10 golden movie boxes up on this one. Totally don't agree with what the critics have said, and I think it's a really fantastic film. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. It's worth a watch. Real fun. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Also, thank you for subscribing. And if this is your first time here, if you've been here before and you haven't hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? A grand invitation? Hit that subscribe button so you miss one of these awesome videos or any of the awesome videos I put up. As always, keep your eyes out for any older, newer videos you might not have seen mine yet. And as always, check out the awesome link down below about the awesome horror pack. Now, if you're a huge horror fan, what better way to get horror films than every month and an awesome box of random horror goodness? Now, you can either get this in DVD format or Blu-ray format if you like. And each box comes with an awesome limited edition of a movie that you can... that's amazing and just awesome, and, it could be one of a kind that you've never seen before. It could be of, a really well-known movie. It's a really awesome, collector's item. So especially if you're a huge fan of, like, collecting cool stuff, or, you collect, like, out of prints and stuff like that, what better way to get it included in your price and not being, charged out the wahoo? So if that interests you, hit that link down below and it'll take you to the site and also get you a discount on your first month. As always, too, people, check out the awesome Stardust app, people. This awesome app, you can watch between 3 to 30-second little mini reviews of movies, TV shows, documentaries, trailers, anything you can think of. And this awesome app is always updating and always improving, so definitely check this out, people. It's so worth it. So if you don't have it, go ahead and download it in either the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store. And then look for me under Cyberneticshark and follow me, and I'll follow you back. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.